Hey guys, I'm back here with these wash parts. The other stuff's still soaking, so I'll go through these parts with you. Now I washed this up as best I could, and I noticed there's absolutely zero chafing on the outside of the plastic. No discoloration. That looks good. However, can't remove that. That's in the plastic, and that is exactly what happens. So for you guys who like to keep your stuff boxed and don't want to open it to remove the battery, well, guess what? In a few years from now, this is what's going to be the problem, and it may even happen sooner or it may never happen. Now the decals on this, contrary to popular belief, they're supposed to be red, not orange. And if they are orange, it's because the colors bled into the plastic of the decal. So I'm going to be replacing them with my decals that I make here in the shop, and mine I think are actually a lot nicer than these and will withstand a lot more. So this is cleaned also, and double check, make sure that there's no corrosion anywhere else. But I did notice that this is a little slack in the back, and that does happen. So if you have that situation where this little tiny plastic piece is going to get damaged that holds this, what you want to do is you take some clear silicone on the end of an X-Acto or something pointy, maybe a toothpick, and you want to take that and slap it just a dab onto that one area like that. And then sort of manipulate the bead around. Take a piece of toilet paper, paper towel, whatever. I don't know, toilet paper is worth its weight in gold today. Paper towel, whatever, and put that on. And then just slightly drag it up a bit without going too deep into where this thing moves. And as you all know, silicone, although it's rubbery, it does act as a good glue in some circumstances. And for this, we want that flexibility so that this continues to move back and forth. So that'll be dry in a couple of hours and ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is the motor. Pièce de résistance. What everybody wants to see. So we'll clean up this area and we'll get into the motor. First thing when you do the motor, take your small needle nose and pull off the spline. Usually you never have a problem with that. The splines are usually good. Now take a fair sized jeweler like that and just lift off the tabs enough for it to clear. Now don't bend them too much, because if you ever have to do this again, they're like a 1-2 shot deal and then they snap off, okay? Now there's a keyway in these. You see it's right here. You want to make sure you line up that keyway afterwards. Now when you take this out, so you don't damage the brushes or anything, always push it from the armature first, like that, okay? Take your small jewelers again, or whatever you have handy that'll fit, and continue to push it out. Okay, you see it popped off. It didn't have anything holding it in. That's fine. Now grab your small needle nose and yank that out like that. Inspect the inside. Make sure that there's no discoloration, cracked magnets, unglued magnets, etc. Put that aside. Take your armature. Have a good look at it. You'll notice that there's dielectric grease on it. Okay. Now you just wipe off the dielectric grease and see what's going on underneath that. Okay. There's a little corrosion there. So what you want to do now is buff that up. So you take your Dremel tool and you spin that and you polish up the 3 sides of the armature. It's not hard to do. I'm ambidextrous, by the way. I can do things with both hands. Can't help the shake though. That comes with age. And having spent my life in the military with all the drinking and partying, yeah, I'm lucky if that's all I can get away with is a shake. Okay, once that's all nice and clean, like that, it's going to make a nice good contact. Put it aside. Have a look at this part. You'll see that there's grease on that too. What you want to do is clean that grease off also. Now you're going to need some dielectric grease, so if you don't have any, you're going to have to look for some. You can usually find it at a car shop like AutoZone, or maybe at Walmart. They seem to have a lot of junk. Get in there with your Dremel tool and just buff that surface so it's like that, nice and copper colored. Same on this side. Put your thumb or finger, whatever, behind it so it doesn't travel too far. You don't overbend the spring of that copper. See? That looks good. Now where the connectors went, you want to have a look at that and see what they look like. To me, they don't look like they need to be pulled. They're not too corroded. Actually, they're not corroded. So I'm going to take a shot at leaving them the way they are. And I'm going to reassemble this motor now. Just move the contacts in a little bit to make sure that they're good. They are. Okay. Now you're going to get your dielectric grease. Voila. You can take a little bit of that on the end of your whatever you want to use. In my case, I like to use this. You see that? This is a clear dielectric grease. It's not blue. It's very good stuff for car light bulbs. You put this on your car light bulbs if you're living up here in cold country Canada, and you know what it's like with our super -20 weather all the time. In the winter, that is. Our summers are just as good as Florida or California, but our winters, cold. Put some dielectric grease on there like that. You want to probably add a little bit here real quick. Like that. Now you want to take this and make sure you don't bend those two copper pieces, and you want to fit that in. Now it's making contact there. I think that's good. Now installing this is going to be a little bit of a trick. So what I do is I take these pliers and I hold on to it. This way my plastic doesn't move and slip off, and I'm able to put this in. Now I'm just looking for the keyway, but I don't think that really matters at this point. Okay, it's in nice. Okay, there's my keyway. Oh. Okay, that came out. And here we go. Put it back together. And you bend these in just with the tip of your pliers, like that. Like so. Now that motor should work no problem. I'll get to demonstrate that in a bit. Put a little turbine oil right on the shaft here. They seem to like that for some squeaky reason. Wipe off the excess. Don't worry, it goes right down into the shaft. You don't see it. Get the excess off because oil likes to take a toll on plastic. Put that down maybe so that there's about a 1/16 of an inch right there. And now when you install the motor, you'll notice that this has a keyway sort on the end. That goes up and it meets up with the boss on this side. When you install that, you slightly pull back on the boss and you drop it in so that it clears the boss. And there's a little slot in the front where there's a hole at the bottom that mates up automatically. And there you go. You got a good connection. Okay, so we're just the next thing we got to do is clean up the contacts and get that going. So we'll do that later. Talk to you later.